Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana Fiestro, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adriana Fiestro, your host for Negotiating Happiness, and we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in the beautiful city of New Orleans. If you wanted to sit back and watch some of our shows, you can definitely find us on Roku TV as well. Welcome. It is September 30th, and today is Truth and Reconciliation Day in Canada. I believe it's also in Australia as well. So let's take a moment and remember our history. It is always a good reminder of, to acknowledge, to remember, to learn. And if you don't know much about it, maybe this is a good opportunity for us to take a moment and learn about what this it's not really a holiday. It's mostly an acknowledgement of our history with Indigenous people. So please take a moment to do that. So today, though, I am excited that I have Danna on today from Unique Balance. So grab your coffee, grab your lunch, depending on what time it is, wherever you're listening from, and join us. Hello, Danna. How are you?
I'm good, Adriana. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just want to tell everybody about all of your accomplishments and everything that you've got going on. So I'm just going to dive right in. So who is Danna? She is a holistic nutritionist. She is a certified nutritional practitioner, a published author, an international model, and the founder of Unique Balance, which is a private consulting practice based in the Greater Toronto area. As a holistic nutritionist, personal trainer, wellness consultant, and Tao Healing Hands Practitioner, she helps people find their unique balance of optimal health and happiness. Danna has been part of the health and wellness industry for more than 25 years. She has completed a fitness leadership program at Humber College, as well as CanFit Pro personal trainer specialist and nutrition wellness specialist certifications. Danna also obtained her Honours Bachelor of Arts degree at the University of Toronto. She later attended the Institute of Holistic Nutrition, where she graduated with first-class honors. She's a published author. Her professional eBook, Fitness and Mindfulness for Optimal Health, Easy Ways to Fit Them and Many Reasons Why You Should, is on Bookboon's platform. Danna has also recently co-authored for the book series Empowered and Heals 4, where the theme is strength and resilience. And she has recently become the health and wellness columnist for BizFashion magazine. Danna has a wide range of experience working with other groups and private clients, schools, shelters, with youth sports teams, and various corporations. So I'm super excited for today because I titled it No Excuses, Only Opportunities, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about, which is a array of subjects. We're going to delve into nourishing the mind, body, and soul. We're going to get rid of excuses and, talk about how to seize opportunities. So how do you feel after that intro?
I feel pretty good. I sometimes forget all that I've worked towards and accomplished.
Exactly. And that's why sometimes we just need somebody to remind us, right, of what that is. So thank you so much for coming on. I know you're pretty busy and you stay on top of everything, and you're also a mom. So I appreciate it. It's also fall, right? So school has started, I guess, right?
Yeah, school's started. As you know, it gets busier, but it's actually a relief because you get more into a routine and a schedule. My boys are really active, so not only do they have school, but we have a lot of sports programs. They're rep soccer, taekwondo. So we're really busy with them. And I'm a single mom as well, and I've got them 75 to 80% of the time. So a lot weighs on my shoulders.
Right. Exactly. So I love that the kids are just so active, right? It keeps them focused and busy and learning, which is great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So Danna, tell us a little bit about this journey of how you started Unique Balance and why.
Okay, it's been quite the journey. So my journey in health and wellness started long before I created Unique Balance. I was always very physically fit as a young person. My parents always had me in sports programming from a very young age. I didn't actually like Unique Balance. I'll just explain is there's kind of three pillars to Unique Balance: nutrition, fitness, and wellness. And the reason that I incorporate all three into the programming is because actually the journey I've had, which essentially was fitness. And then I learned more about nutrition, and then I started to incorporate wellness. And that's what helped me to grow and evolve as a person and to achieve optimal health and happiness. And often, for me, being physically fit was one component, but without nourishing my body properly with the proper foods, I struggled with, say, cystic acne and depression and mental health issues in my teens. Also, with the wellness component, I had to incorporate that through later in life because I had to learn to cope and deal and manage with stress and challenges that I faced in my life. And as a teenager, I didn't really have those coping mechanisms. And so I really struggled as a teenager with various things that I'd been through. And so as I, evolved and grew, went on this journey, once I started incorporating wellness practices and mindfulness techniques, as I got into my 30s, that kind of helped me to evolve as a person and a human being and to be able to manage and cope better. So that's why I incorporate all three into Unique Balance because of my journey: nutrition, fitness, nutrition, and then wellness. So I became a personal trainer in my early 20s. And then I did personal training part-time because then I ended up getting a job as a receptionist because I was trying to supplement my income as I was building my personal training practice.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Because as a personal trainer, as anyone knows who's in the industry, unless you're working at a gym and you've got a solid client base, you do typically need, as you're building your own business, you need you need income from another source as you build up your client base.
Of course,
So when I was a receptionist working part-time as a personal trainer, I got pregnant with my first son, Antonio, and it caused me to pivot. Because then I now, was working as a receptionist for an industrial company. And then my energies kind of needed to be focused on carrying my child. So, and I'm going to get to where Unique Balance came from. I went back, I had Antonio, and then I went back to school to finish my university degree and hadn't even thought about Unique Balance at this point. But I still maintained my personal training certification. Now, I was always very resourceful. So when I became a single mom, I was doing some personal training on the side, but then I was also doing things like working in the nightclub industry, doing supplement promotion sales for a supplement company, just trying to, and then one of the reasons I chose night work was because I wanted to be able to spend time with my son, not just be working all the time and then, put him to bed. And so I was really resourceful with work and kind of being a little entrepreneur, managing different projects while putting myself through university. And then I went to university to speak French, and I got hired by an investment firm because they taught me business, but I could speak French. So I kind of pivoted. Health and wellness career got put on the side. I was at that point in a committed relationship with my ex-husband. And I did several roles within this investment firm company, but I still kept my personal training certification. And I realized people just kind of gravitated to me because I stayed healthy and I was working out and I was being mindful of what I was eating. I had some ups and downs where I got off track. But then once I started to get off track with my health and wellness, I would kind of motivate other people in the company. Let's go for a walk. And like, what are you eating today? Or maybe you should choose this differently. Or I'd go for lunches with people and they would say, well, why are you, you're eating that? So I went and got my nutrition wellness specialist, and that's with CanFit Pro. And that's when I started realizing I really missed having a positive impact on people's lives in terms of helping them to be healthier and happier. And I realized it didn't matter what role within the investment firm was, I started just started getting really stressed out and I started getting sick. So with nutrition wellness specialist designation, I was really limited my scope of ability to coach people in the way that I really wanted to coach them, really specifically for each person, unique for their own biochemistry. So once I started getting sick, I started seeking the help of naturopaths and other doctors. And I realized, like with a lot of the nutrition guidance they gave me, I thought, I can do this as well. So then I started to explore educating myself in nutrition. And there was some restructuring in the financial world, and I got laid off. And at this point, my ex-husband and I had a conversation about me going back to school to become a holistic nutritionist rather than a dietitian. So one day I was saying, well, I want to help people that are unique. The name Unique Balance came to me. So I made that was going to be my business, Unique Balance. And then once I thought of the name, I then got laid off, I planned the wedding, and then I had registered to back to school to become a certified nutritional practitioner. And that's when Unique Balance was created. And that's when the 3 pillars I knew had to be part of the nutrition, fitness, and wellness that's what a Unique Balance had to embody, because that was my journey. As long as I was stressed, I couldn't digest, absorb, and assimilate my food properly. If I wasn't eating properly, I could work out all I wanted. That didn't work. If my hormones were off, then that would impact all aspects of my life, and then also something as simple as sleep, right? So there's all these components and Unique Balance. Everyone's got a unique biochemistry. So I really wanted to work one-on-one with people to help them find their own unique balance of optimal health and happiness, because there's no one-size-fits-all solution for everybody. And it started really part-time, because when I was in school becoming a holistic nutritionist, I got pregnant with Jackson. And when I graduated, I literally graduated and then gave birth to my second son. And then 7 months later, I was pregnant. After Jackson was born, 7 months later, I was pregnant with my third son. So Unique Balance has really gone through a bit of a journey and an evolution where it was very part-time. As I was raising my kids, I had a couple clients, didn't really have to think about all the different aspects of running a really profitable, successful, thriving business. It was more, I would say, a passion project, but I was helping people, family was a priority. And then I guess as my marriage dissolved, I wanted to have an even greater impact on the world, but I also had to really think of, oh my gosh, how am I going to make Unique Balance a really good, viable business and advance my career and take this on full time? And there's a lot of things to consider.
Right. Isn't it funny though, how every time I talk to an entrepreneur, their business idea stems from a problem that they were having, and they're able to just turn it around into something that's just good for the world, including themselves. I love hearing that. And I love hearing the whys behind it. So, I mean, it's great. And we all know, if you've been around moms, if you are a mom yourself, right, you remember just how, weird those moments are, because you're now in charge of other humans, and you're also trying to keep yourself together and right. So the fact that you are going through that, and you were educating yourself and all of the other, aspects about your life, and you're able to, put this out into the world and make this idea happen. I know you kept saying, it's like, oh, I just did it part-time. Like, you're trying to minimize it. But the fact that you had that on top of everything else was just wild, right? I mean, I don't know. I just remember being in this fog when I was a new mom. So the fact that you're able to do that is awesome. I don't think you should be minimizing that at all, right? And even if you're not, like, let's say somebody's listening and they're saying, I could not do it. That's okay. I mean, I remember what it's like, and it's wild to try and be those different things. And that's why I like the name Unique Balance, because everything is so unique to every single person. And balance is so hard to achieve because once you achieve it for like a split second, you got to start all over again because it has to be a constant thing, right? You don't just like check it off and you're like, I am done for the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that. So if you were to do something different in your business, like what would it be? Like what did you know how we all have those moments and we think back and we're just reflecting on maybe different moves that we'd make? What's something that you learned that you maybe would have done differently?
Well, something I do always say, and this is, I guess, looking back, is I wish when I had been married and was building my business, I had really worked on setting it up to run like a well-oiled machine, so that I could now be focusing on, doing what I do, and that's coaching people, and it's
Right.
helping motivate, inspire, and educate people about health and wellness, rather than trying to figure out about the branding and the messaging and like and what structure and getting all this stuff kind of behind the scenes going more
Mm-hmm.
smoothly. I would have loved to have had a team, like a solid team by now,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
help me do the things that aren't necessarily my strength, like area of expertise. And then
Right.
that way I can focus on doing what I do, because there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to being an entrepreneur. But
Of
I also
course.
think identifying where your strengths are and your weaknesses, and then hiring people to kind of help you where you're not as strong, is a good thing to be able to do.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the dream, right? I think a lot of us that start out our businesses when we're either on mat leave or preparing to be moms or whatever, we're always thinking of, okay, how can I make this work for myself? And that is really the dream, to have it run in the background while you're, you know, while you're doing the mom thing, while you're doing the family thing. And it's a lot harder than people realize. They just think that, oh, it maybe if you had, let's say if you had an unlimited amount of resources and you were hiring people to do that for you, I would argue that it's still very hard at the beginning of a business to be able to do that, right? Like it's so hard to set yourself up so that it runs without you at the beginning, because you're going through these growth stages, right? So if you're not in it, you're not putting in the time, it's very, very hard to do that. So anybody that's running a business or trying to develop something during that time is must be extremely disciplined because there's only so much time during the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing. I think it's funny. People say, like, they'll say, "Oh, you're so busy," and I've had to stop and think, yeah, you know what, I am, but I've been listening to like a lot of the Bob Proctor content and audiobooks and things,
Right.
and just trying to understand myself better, and to motivate myself, because that's something I still do on a regular basis. And
Hmm.
yeah, you're busy, but what are you accomplishing while you're being busy? Are you actually accomplishing anything? So I really had to sit back and say, even now, as I'm trying to, get more clients and get more
Sure.
business and make a positive impact on millions of people, that's what I love to achieve and do.
Right.
Um, how am I spending my time, and where is my energy being like spent?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
is it helping me to achieve that goal I have, that vision, that dream?
Right. Right.
And so, and that, sometimes, as I really feel, you have to take a look at yourself. This is where, we talk about no excuses. I've had to look at myself and my behaviors and my choices and take responsibility if, say, things aren't going as I like them to, or if things aren't progressing, or I'm, say, stuck, like you hit a plateau.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
why? And am I really making the best use of my time? How can I allocate my time differently to different places? What do I need to cut back on? What do I need to do more of? Where do I need to bring people in to help me, and even to help me see things I can't see? Or
Right.
there's a lot of self-reflection, and that goes not just for, I find, professionally but personally as well. So it's been a very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a comment here from Leaders Lounge Canada. Hi, Phil. Thanks so much for joining in. And she says, could not agree more. Identifying your own strengths and finding others to help with the other stuff. I would also say the trust factor is big, right? Because you can't just say, do whatever. That's what I meant when I said you have to be in it. You have to be in it to be able to make it grow the way that you want it to grow, right? So thanks, Phil. That makes total sense. Another thing that I don't think we get enough credit for is when somebody, for example, just kind of going from what you're saying, it's like, oh, you're so busy, right? We don't get enough credit that we don't really have a choice. Like we don't really we can't just put the other stuff on pause, right? So if you are accomplishing anything on top of it, it's because you're putting in more resources and time and effort out of your own. So it's like you have a cup and you're just taking out of that cup. It's not unlimited, right? The kids have to come first, the bills, the family. We don't really have a choice. There is no choice there. You have to just do it all, right? And that could be good and bad, right? People just assume that you're going to do things because, well, Danna's just going to do it because she's been doing it this whole time. Or it could be, it can't be that bad because Danna's been doing it this whole time, right? So it could just, both perspectives are terrible in my opinion, right? Because we don't reevaluate, we don't do any reflection on it. So sometimes, like I've had to do this, and I'm terrible at this. Sometimes I have to just stop myself and say, listen, this is just a bit too much for me. Maybe I need to pull back on one thing before I jump into the next one, right? So how, like, I struggle with that a lot, and I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs do. So how do you feed the mind, the body, and the soul and still continue at the same rate? Or how do you make sure that you're not, because in my case, I take from that cup, right? From that part of me to be able to fulfill this other stuff. And long term, that's a terrible idea, right? So how do we do that, Danna? How do we stop?
Well, I'm trying to find the right balance, to be honest with you, but you just got to decide what your priorities are, and then make decisions based on what is your biggest priority. So for me, I've had people say to me, well, if you want to get more work done, maybe you shouldn't work out so much. I'm like, well, if I don't work out, part of me and my brand is not just how I look, but how I feel and energy. And if I'm not working out regularly, eating properly, meditating, I'm off. So I won't sacrifice. I won't neglect it. I might cut back a little, but I won't give that up, because for me, my unique balance incorporates all those three things that I say to people to do. One thing I've had to actually work on myself, and this is something I've struggled with since I was young, is sleep. And sleep is hugely important.
Right.
And happiness. And I'm also very social. So I had to start saying, okay, I'm social. I'm trying to work, take care of my kids, like build a business, see my family, meet people. I'm single, and I'm trying to put myself out there. I like to have fun, but something's got to give, because if I'm now sacrificing things like sleep or missing out on workouts because of I'm choosing to do other things, I have to cut back on what's not a priority. So that would you say social things. I have to say, oh no, I have these projects I need to get done. And so I'm going to minimize, say social events, for example. And then, but with maintaining the balance, and with like the nutrition, fitness, and wellness is non-negotiable for me. That has to be part of my life. So if there's something else, then I have to cut something else Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And for somebody like you who's been in that sphere for so long, it makes total sense. Somebody like me who's gone in and out of it. I mean, at one point, health and nutrition were very much part of my life. I was a high performance athlete, and then I just kind of let life get in the way. And I get these glimpses, like memories, I guess, of, hey, remember when you used to do this regularly? You should start doing that again. It's harder. It's harder because I'm like, oh, but I already, planned my day out today. Or, so I think you just kind of have to see what's right for you. Like you said, it has to be unique for everybody else. But if obviously you've met a lot of entrepreneurs and you have a lot of connections in the business world, if somebody sat there and asked you, what is something that I could start doing today, something that's simple and realistic, what would that be? What could I do today?
My biggest suggestion to people is, like, I think a lot of people look at it like I have to do like an hour of exercise like every day, and I have to change my eating completely. And what I always talk to people about is, let's get back to basics. Let's start simple. So
Right.
with nutrition, it's often three things: eat real food, balance your meals. So that means eating like macronutrient, getting protein, carbohydrates, healthy carbs, and a little bit of fat into your every meal and snack. And then make sure you're drinking water. And so I'm like, just nutrition. Try and eat healthy meals each day, right? And you got to eat enough. Some people aren't eating enough for their body's needs. Like one meal a day isn't going to give you, we got to look at food as fuel. So I'm like, look at food as fuel. The reason we eat is to give ourselves nutrients, and it's to fuel our body, to give it energy to thrive and grow and be energetic. People are like, you have so much energy. It's like, well, because I literally look at my body as feeding it like a purpose. It's like, well, we put gas in the car. Why do we put gas in the car? So it'll run. Well, if the human body is very much the same. If we don't put the right gas in the car and our body, we're not going to function optimally. So I always tell people it's really simple. Like, try to just make, pick one thing. Like if you have a sugar craving, then you need to really work on balancing your carbs, right? Balancing your blood sugar levels. So that means eating balanced meals, because that helps regulate blood sugar, things like that. But then even with exercise, it's like, they actually say, especially when it comes to blue zones and longevity, it's not necessarily doing a hardcore workout 1 hour a day, every day. It's actually bouts of movement, physical activity throughout the day. So I would tell people, I'm like, okay, if you don't think you have time, you're so busy with work, you don't think you have time to do a long workout, why don't you get up and go do 20 minutes in the morning, and then say at lunch, take a break, get up, go move 20 minutes in the day. And then maybe as a family thing, you guys get out and go for a walk. I know in the winters here in Canada, it can be challenging, but I'll even do the stairs. I was in a routine where in the morning before I got the kids off, and it's been a little off lately, but I was doing a short meditation, a little bout of movement, and no technology until the kids went to school. I still do that. I do no technology until the kids are at school at all, because I just want to start my day off and I don't want to be distracted. I even was trying to read like 10 minutes. So you can do start small is I guess what I'm trying to say is start small, even with meditation and mindfulness practices. It's said that 5 minutes consistently, every day is actually more impactful than just a long meditation occasionally. And so it's kind of taking small steps and gradually incorporating little positive choices into every day to help you be more balanced in mind, body, and soul. I mean, just like you schedule a dinner or you schedule, meetings, you can schedule in like a mindfulness break, or you can schedule in even a 10 to 15 minute movement break. And I think it's like I've seen friends in corporate where their calendars are literally like back-to-back meetings, and you're sitting for hours, and it's not good for us. We all need to get up and move. So I think but we have to look at it as like little steps, like little small changes, positive changes, and that's what I work on with clients. It's like, okay, we're going to do one thing at a time in each of these areas. And then once you do that consistently, then we're going to make other choices. But it's like what's important to you. I did a talk a while ago with an investment firm, and it was health is wealth. Well,
Mm-hmm.
health is wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
Right.
we think about retirement and saving for our future. Well, if we don't take care of our mind, body, and soul, like now, when we get to our future, we might be paying to take care of our health because we haven't taken care of ourselves up until that point. And it's also like listening to your body. So our body gives us signs and signals. So what signs and signals is your body giving you that maybe, hey, listen, like, maybe I should eat differently, or maybe something I'm doing is putting me out of balance. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
It makes total sense. And I think because we spend our, we spend our youth thinking that we're invincible. We can't possibly think that we're not going to be feeling great like this forever, right? So that kind of sets us up into this false sense of security. And then through your 20s and your 30s, and then you're like, wait, why is my back hurting me all of a sudden? Well, because you should be doing all kinds of, ranges of movement, and you're not. And I am the worst for this. I mean, I obviously know a lot of entrepreneurs who, sit and work. That's what they do, is sit and work. And it's so bad for us. And it's true. I think we can start slow with just, get up every hour, get up every however long. I did have alerts set up to remind myself to get up. But now I'm feeling like I've gotten to know my body a little bit better. So my body just tells me, and when I listen to it, it's so much better. I instinctively have to get up now every so often, because I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go take a walk out there. Or I'll do things like, I'm going to go take out my trash because I work from home, right? I'm going to go take out my trash. I'm going to go down the street and back, and, just to kind of get it out there. But I do enjoy going to the gym. It's not as religious as I would like it to be. But those are great. Those are great tips. And the whole no technology thing, I have to say, is I've noticed, my son is 4, but as everybody can realize, they're exposed to phones and iPads and TVs, and it's just the way that our world works. But I said, no, before school, if I can have him sit there and eat breakfast and, without TV on, that's my preferred method, because I notice a difference in his behavior and listening skills even in the morning, because it's so hard to get them to wake up in the morning. So that's such a good tip, is to try, and I have to get better at it, because the moment I wake up, I check my phone, even though I keep reading those statistics of like the first half an hour, like don't do any of that, I try, but it's hard. But we've got Grace Smith TV saying hello, and how are you doing, ladies? We are great. How are you, Grace? Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. This is so nice when people come in and say hi. I should do, like half of the time is already gone. So we're having such great conversation. So I'm just going to do a quick station intro here. So for those that are just tuning in, you're listening to Negotiating Happiness, and I'm your host, Adriana. We are live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in the beautiful city of New Orleans. And if you wanted to watch some of our other shows, we can also find us on Roku TV. And I am here today with Danna from Unique Balance, and we're talking all about nourishing the mind, body, and soul, and how to say no excuses. These just turn into opportunities. We're going to seize the opportunity. So, Danna, tell us a little bit about how do you work with clients? What's your preferred method, I guess, if you're working one-on-one, or if you're doing things with corporate clients? Like, what are some of the things that people can learn and do with you?
Well, I essentially focus on 3 areas, I guess. So I do one-on-one. So I work privately with clients to help them find their unique balance of optimal health and happiness. So I meet with them, and then I do an assessment with them. They have to fill out a questionnaire, and then I create a customized protocol for them, nutrition, fitness, and wellness goals. And then you see, it's essentially really unique with each client. I've worked with some clients remotely, or I've gone to see them once a month, and then we've done either touch bases virtually. There's some clients I have where I actually personal train them in person 1 to 2 times a week. And we also do nutrition coaching sessions following that. Or we have a touch base, every other week, once a month. all my protocols, it's not, none of them are one size fits all solution. I really sit with the client to figure out what they need and how they, what would suit them best. Some people I'm even doing pantry raids with them, and then grocery store tours, showing them what they should find where, what to look for when you go through a grocery store, what to be mindful of. I've even gone to clients' homes and taught them how to cook. I've had some male clients who were in their 40s and they've never really cooked. They didn't even know how to make an omelet. So I really am versatile and customizing protocols and strategies for my clients to help them become healthier and happier. And then I also, even with my private practice, I don't suggest supplements and therapeutic doses. I'm gonna get back to basics. Let's get you eating real food, balanced meals, becoming aware of what's healthy food, what's not, how much sugar am I consuming? I'm really get back to kind of a basics practitioner. If something is, say someone, I've helped them, they've plateaued, and I feel that they could use the guidance of someone, like a naturopath or, a clinician, more of a clinical holistic health practitioner, then I'm happy to refer them. I want people to be able to essentially I'd love to have all my clients forever, but what I'd like to do is give people the tools they need to be healthy and happy on their own. And so they can make informed decisions and the right choices that are for them, and that they can go then on their own.
Right.
So it's everything's customized with me and my one-on-one clients. And I typically suggest like a 3-month minimum investment, because it really, 1 month isn't enough to see the changes, to implement these lasting changes. And a lot of it's educational. I try and meet with my clients weekly to go over, okay, this is what we need to tweak. This is what we need to work on. Okay, eat this, not this, and this is why. And explain to them the why. And so they understand, okay, I need to make this choice for this reason. And then it helps them make more informed, better choices as time goes on. I've also done workshops, gone into gyms, different like shelters, like we mentioned in the bio. I do workshops and seminars on various subject matters according to what, say, the organization wants or what they think will benefit their members or the students or their families.
Yeah.
So like healthy eating for families and what we need to be mindful of when nourishing kids. I've done sports talks for sports teams. And corporate wellness, I have a 4-week corporate wellness program I created that typically we deliver at corporations in conjunction with a physical activity challenge. I go into the corporation once a week and deliver a talk either once or twice in that day, so that different members, if it's twice in a day, different employees can attend. And then, or I do a la carte presentations. So if some corporations have hired me and they're like, our staff aren't really turning on their cameras through COVID. We think they're maybe not taking care of themselves. They're embarrassed. So what can we do to help them feel better, reduce their stress? I've had everything from, talking to people about vegetarianism, being a vegetarian and doing it the right way, to, boosting immunity. And so there's everything, like there's no one size fits all suggestions, but there's some commonalities. So that's kind of what I do.
It sounds like you're helping people build habits, you're not just kind of slapping a meal plan down and saying, here you go. Yeah, which is really important. It's always the follow through that kind of kills it for us, right? Like we have good intentions, and then because we don't have follow through or somebody to check in with, that's where the issues come up, right? So that's awesome. That's really great. Tell us a little bit about how you expanded, right? You're an author. You're now doing a column for BizFashion magazine. Tell us a bit about those projects.
Okay, so the author component of it is interesting because, I talk about making excuses, not making excuses. And when I was during COVID, I was at home with the kids going through really brutal divorce. And when the kids would be away, I was very social. And I had a company approach me, Bookboon. They had a scout approach me and say, we'd love for you to write an eBook for us about fitness and mindfulness. Would you be open to it? And I kind of at one point I was like, no, I'm so busy. And then I went through some interesting experiences. And I had to really sit back and reflect on, was I actually making excuses? Like how am I spending my time? And I realized that if I cut out the waste of time and the things that weren't actually helping me to advance personally and professionally, then maybe I could actually do this book. And like, I was thinking about how I was spending my time. And so I messaged her and I said, yeah, I will write it. And we sat down and I had to do a summary chapter, a first chapter, I had to write it out. And it was one of the most, actually, it was a really awesome experience because I like projects like, okay, I've got this, I need to do this, I've got this deadline I need to meet. But I was able to now share with many people on a public platform the gift of health and wellness and fitness and mindfulness, and give like simple ways to help people integrate it into their life. So that's how I became an author on Bookboon's platform. They found me on LinkedIn and I finally accepted it. No more excuses. And I was able to do it. It was awesome. It was a very proud moment for me to actually become a published author and be able to share my expertise in that way. And it's actually one of their most sought after eBooks on their platform. It's got really high ratings. And then with BizFashion, ironically, I have a photographer I work with, Michael Leakis. I started doing photo shoots when my marriage fell apart. I got in the best shape of my life, I would say. And photographers started contacting me. I did a photo shoot kind of like, I'm back.
Yeah.
And various people reached out to me, but one of them was a photographer, Michael Leakis. Michael Leakis shoots for BizFashion. So we started doing photo shoots together. We started doing photo shoots together. And so I started as a model in BizFashion. And then Michael had a talk with Susie, the owner of BizFashion, and said, Danna, do you know Danna's story? She's a single mom, entrepreneur, health and wellness, and maybe you should feature her. So then Susie featured me as a model in my story, and then we connected, and she said, we don't have a health and wellness columnist. Would you like to write the health and wellness column? So I not only am her health and wellness columnist and write a monthly column for BizFashion, but I also help her with business development. And I'm trying to assist with, selling ad space. It's a really great magazine, Canadian magazine. But all the proceeds of the hard copies go to women's shelters to help women in need. So I want to help keep that. I would love to support fellow entrepreneurs and women who are trying to have a positive impact and help support business and fashion in Canada. So, yeah, so I'm involved in several different ways.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so what's on the horizon for Unique Balance? What's coming up?
It's a good question. I've to be honest with you, business has been a little slow. So I've started to look into getting people to help me figure out what I don't know. So it's actually maybe going to be a bit of a break with Unique Balance, and I'm focusing on a course to learn how to use LinkedIn to, broaden my horizons, my client base. But I'm also going to hire a dear friend to help me manage the back end of everything, because I am, and well, it's you. I'm getting Adriana to help me, because part of growing as a person in a business is knowing what I don't know, branding, marketing, like I've done sales, but like behind the scenes, like digital stuff is not my strength. And if I'm not growing in my business, I'm either not communicating with people properly. So I'm now going to invest to hire, get coaching in terms of LinkedIn, but also hire you, Adriana, to help me grow and evolve in business and professionally. But that being said, I'm trying to also pair up with partnerships and other companies for me to have a positive impact and maybe help other companies grow until my client base expands more.
Right.
And
but you are doing your projects with I think it was Heal House, right? You're doing your column on BizFashion, and I think one project coming up for you is going to be your website refresh, which I'm assuming you're going to have lots of free resources on there. So everybody stay tuned for that. In the meantime, you can find Danna on Danna.Giroux or Danna.Giroux and then _ on Instagram. or BizFashion Danna for her other account for the column if you want to. But I mean, there's so much going on. I know that you're so real for it, and that's why I love talking to you about it, because I do the same thing, and I say, yeah, like I've had workshops that didn't work out or something else, right? So I'm like, okay, well, what's on the horizon? Like, I got to go back and retrace steps and learn what I didn't know or what didn't work out. So this is why I love having this show, because people tend to get really real about what entrepreneurship is like. And I always say, I was like, if everything's going perfectly, it means you're not progressing enough, right? Because you're just stuck at the same level. So everything's just kind of a well-oiled machine. So typically people tend to be like, oh yeah, okay, I guess that's a good point, right? Like you are supposed to kind of do this in the wild ride of entrepreneurship. But I think a lot of us forget that once we go through the stages of growth, we're supposed to step back and reevaluate everything. Like, okay, what do I need now? Where do I, and it's funny, I think everybody that I spoke to this summer has been pretty slow for them too. And I mean, I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs that are service based, right? Not product based, but everybody's kind of getting the same vibe. I think it's the economy. I think it's like the uncertainty of, what's going to happen. Our mortgage rates have not dropped as much as we've all hoped for. So I think people are just cautious at this point, right? They're just cautious.
Yeah, they are. They are, but I do believe that there's abundance and prosperity available to all of us.
Of course.
If something's not working, you just have to pivot. And I just really, you got to dig your nose in and like focus and where energy goes. What is it? Energy flows.
Yeah.
Listen, where we focus our energy
Yeah.
and we put good energy and intention into something, I think it'll all work out. You just have to
I think so.
Everything's aligned.
I think so. And I love that attitude of, if it's not working, just pivot. I can't tell you how many people I talk to and they're kind of stuck on something, right? And next time I talk to them, they're still talking about that same thing, and they don't have that. Whereas I feel like you have that down pat. You're like, okay, this isn't working. I got to focus on something else, or go look at a different partnership or different stream. That's such a great attitude and skill to have when you're an entrepreneur, because you kind of get through the harder parts. I don't want to say easier, because you choose your hard, right? But just better, with a better mindset, you maybe get them through faster, maybe. I don't know, something like that. So yeah. It's good. It's such a good attitude to have. Like, it's a really good lesson that you can teach other entrepreneurs on how to pivot and how to just say, okay, well, where is opportunity knocking? And, why aren't you saying yes to it? There has to be some sort of reason. And it's funny because I think a lot of it comes through with mindfulness as well. And maybe I'm getting a little bit woo-woo, but I love it. Sometimes when I meditate, so I have ADHD, so meditation actually really helps, probably a lot more than any sort of medication that I've tried. And I haven't tried many. I tried one and tried two different dosages, and it just wasn't for me. But there people are out there that works for them just fine. Like, talk to your doctor, consult your doctor. This is by no means is this medical advice. However, I would say that everybody should try meditation. But if you have ADHD, try it, because it's probably one of the very few things that can quiet my mind down and helps me think better. So it's funny that you mentioned it as well. But sometimes in those spaces is where I get these ideas, or where I get this like driving force to develop something further, right? I think it's so great to have in your life, is to have that quiet moment to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's I totally know what you mean, because it's it actually helps de-stress the body, which is one thing, but sometimes we've got so much going on. And even one trick for meditation is that some people think that we're supposed to shut out all the thoughts. That's actually not what we're supposed to do. What we're supposed to do is just be present. And actually, one of these amazing teachers I had, she's like, let them pass like clouds in the sky. And that really helped me to really embrace everything. And there's so many things you can do with meditations, but I was never diagnosed with ADHD or anything like that, but my friends will laugh. They'll be like, Danny, you're like, here. So it really helps to like bring you into the present. I completely agree. When I'm off, I'm like, I need to go meditate. because I am scattered. I'm all over the place, and I need to, come down.
Yeah. I love that, the whole let them pass like clouds in the sky. I agree. I think that once you know how to kind of slow down your breathing and just be in the moment, that's when you can allow the thoughts to kind of come. And it's, I don't know, for me, it's amazing what some of the things that come through. For other people, it's way more about the quietness of it. For me, it's just remembering to stay in the moment and just letting the information go through at the rate that it does go through. What I find, I don't know if it's the same for you, when I meditate, sometimes I like to put a track on that's just instrumental. I don't like the guided stuff. It's just instrumental in the background, just because sometimes it helps me refocus. And I'll sit there and I'll think like 10 minutes have passed by, and I look at the track and it's like an hour and a half later. To me, time just disappears when I meditate. Does that happen to you?
Yeah. That's why I have to be careful in the mornings, because if I don't leave myself enough time to meditate, I'm like, oh no,
panic.
And I like to journal too. I journal and visualize a lot. I don't know if you've ever done future self meditations. So this is where you kind of visualize yourself going down a path, and then someone comes to greet you at the door, and this is your future self. And I have talked with even clients who, like a lot of weight loss clients, or anyone who's trying to like be at a different, they have that version within them. But if there's something they see for themselves, but they can't just grasp it, I was doing future self meditations for very consistently for years. I still do them, where I see, and my future self is talking to me. What does she look like? How does she feel? What energy does she embody? What do I see around me? What have I done? And I'm not even joking you. I really meditated and journaled a lot when my marriage was falling apart. And then when me and the kids had to leave and go to my parents' house, like I literally had to take me and my kids from our home and leave the matrimonial home. And there were some days, I'm not even telling you, all I could do was meditate and exercise and go to the pool because my parents had a pool. So I take the kids and be active with them. But the meditation and the journaling, the house I bought after my divorce is almost to the T, the house I could see and visualize for like a year to 2 years.
I love that.
To the bedrooms, the amount of money I bought it for, so there is a power in mindfulness and meditation, and there's an energy. And I want people to know that there's so much beyond themselves that they can do, even like opportunities like with Heal House, this company I'm associated with, that's got an amazing vision to have a positive impact on the world. And it's an amazing integrative health space. Even finding a partnership like that who's, on the same page as me, because I've been in contact with clinics, and it was like, I need to feel at home with a place. I need to feel like it's the right fit, and not just taking something, accepting something because you're desperate, but making it a right fit. And so meditating and visualizing where I see myself, where I see myself fitting in, has been huge in helping me kind of like navigate change. Like everyone's like, oh, you made it look so easy. I'm like, oh. I've been doing a lot of work on the inside, and mindfulness was massive. I'm telling you, like an hour a day writing, half an hour.
Like it doesn't just come, like it doesn't just come.
And I'm not perfect. And this is what we have to remember. None of us are perfect. And we all have our own traumas. We all have our own subconscious beliefs. We all have our own ways of coping and managing. And we all have our own struggles, health, and like physiologically, like we all have our own challenges. It's what can we do to have compassion for ourselves and to understand like we're doing the best we can, and what steps can we make day by day to make us the better version of ourselves, so that we can be there not just for us, we can be there not just for us, but like we're both moms for our kids. And then also like just helping to make the world a better place, because it can be hard enough to survive in this world.
It's true.
Be a better version of ourselves.
It's true. So we have like 2 minutes left, but I have one last question. I usually have it for every single guest, right? So what makes Danna happy? And I'm talking like not mom or entrepreneur Danna or sister, daughter, whatever. I'm talking about, what do you do for yourself that makes this all worth it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I usually find really quirky answers, right? Like I've had some female entrepreneurs who are like, I go golfing, you know, every so I was like, oh, that's great. Or I wake up at 5:30 and go for you know, a workout. And I'm like, well, that's not my happy, but I'm glad that's your happy. You know what I mean? But it's usually just something quirky that I found out about every guest. So what makes Danna happy?
So you know what? Like so there's a couple things. So I like traveling. I've been going to Miami a little more frequently.
Amazing.
I love getting dressed up. Okay, like my sister's laughing. I have all these Barbies. I love getting dressed up. One of my favorite things, I love doing photo shoots, getting my hair and makeup done. I'm like,
amazing. You're in your element, right? I love that. I love that. Embrace it. I actually was just having a conversation with somebody about how, you know, when I was younger, I had this like hate on for pink and being girly. And I was like, no, this was because everybody was telling you how, oh, it's so bad to just be that, right? That now I'm like, I'm embracing that back. And I'm like, no, I love makeup. I love all these things. I spent too long thinking that I should be, you know, a tomboy just because people don't take me seriously. Now I'm just at the point where I'm just like, listen, if you don't get me, you don't get me. You don't have to be with me if you don't get me. So now I love it. So when I hear a woman about, you know, like, I love being a woman, I love getting dressed up, and I love that. Oh, I love that. Such positivity. I love it. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was so great.
Yeah, my pleasure. It was great. I love it. I feel like we never run out of time, even when we're
I
together.
know.
We don't have
You
enough
need to
time.
come back once you have your website up and all your resources and stuff. Like, you need to come back and we'll chat some more. Thank you so much for coming on and for entertaining my wild questions. Thank you to everybody that tuned in, that said hello. You are able to find Danna's links in the comments, but also in the summaries of the episodes, even if it is in the archives. So if you just you know, caught a small part of it, go back and listen to it once it's posted. And thank you so much to the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network for giving us this platform. And we will see you next week. And I hope to have Danna back soon. Have a great one, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for having me. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.